Okay. Alright.
Okay.
Finally! Okay, I feel like a stinging idiot because of how this stream started off.
Okay, I feel like a stinging idiot because of how this stream started off.
But now we know we actually have audio. Let me also grab my paint cup. Okay. Get a nice fresh cup of water for this. Put that right there. And now we're gonna be painting this nice and lovely deer. Right here. Let me get some better lighting up in here. I feel like that made our lighting situation just the littlest bit better. But we have this nice, lovely deer that we're going to be painting. Now, let me move the Deathclaw out of the way. He's on the list for today. But, for this deer, we are going to try to make it a nice golden deer statue. Now, I want to do this kind of like Bob Ross. So I'm going to lower my voice a little bit, just in the name of keeping it calm and keeping it carrying on, you know? There's no need for us to yell as we relax and paint this deer. So I'm going to start off by setting out the colors I plan on using. We will be using Create X airbrush, pearlized gold, some of this lovely Vallejo model color acrylic flat yellow. For the base, no, instead of flat yellow, I want a slightly darker gold. So we're going to go with O'Shore Brown. Fancy. And for the base, I'm going to get some Warpstone Glow as well. Just because I already know I'm cooking. Because I can smell what the rock is cooking. Warpstone Brown or Warpstone Green from Citadel. Gonna get... Oh no, I accidentally left the Nuln Oil open. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this moment he realized just to what degree he had screwed up. But that is alright. That's alright. Accidents, they happen. That's just life. So, gonna go with this gray. And I'm thinking, where's my Astro Granite at? Let's see, a Grass Earth Shade. Astro Granite, gray. And a little bit of pearlized silver. So these are the colors. You have your colors nice and set out right here. I'm not sure if they're properly on cam. They are. Oh, you can even kind of peek at the stack over there. But anyway, you're gonna set out our brush. Move the X-Acto knife out of the way. And first, since we already got it nice and primed, I primed this earlier. I did miss a few spots, but that's alright. We're gonna go ahead and do 1 drop onto your palette. 1 drop of your Vallejo. If you're following this as a tutorial, but you don't got to. 1 drop of the Vallejo Ashore. And my Huge Ripper is missing. What did I do with the Q drop? Ah, it's right over here next to my clay. You even have your Q dropper. Get a spooge of water and 1 drop. I found the 1-to-1 ratio works really good when diluting Vallejo colors, but everyone's got their own recipe. You don't gotta do what I do. Now, you don't use your really small detail brush. You get a nice thick brush like this one. And you get just a little bit of paint on your brush. And then, after that, make sure the camera focuses nice and good. And you brush on just a little bit of color. The goal of today's stream, however, is to paint up a bunch of minis that I have had on the back burner for a few days. While also, I don't know, trying to be a gentle Bob Ross type painter. Which is very alien to me, the idea of being gentle after how today has been at work. Sheesh. Some people, just because it's a holiday, doesn't mean you can treat your person selling you the lotto tickets like trash just because the lotto jackpot is the highest it's ever been. But just gotta get a nice gentle coat. You'll notice that there's a bunch of streaking and it doesn't fully cover the gray. That is more than alright, because you're going to want to do multiple thin coats to get the color looking its best while preserving the detail of the mini. For the antlers, I want to make them kind of a crystalline color. So the antlers are going to have a base coat of warpstone instead. So you're just gently getting some paint and brushing it on. Going nice and slow around your model. I gotta make sure the model is still fully in the frame. You just gonna want to dab the color on wherever you want it to be. This is just your first base coat. Doesn't have to be anything special. Just gotta get the color on. And if you're like me and you're running out of paint, when you run out on the thing because you didn't put enough, then that's where you do it again. You unscrew your bottle and you put 1 drop. You put 1 drop. 1 drop. Then you get your water, Huge Ripper, and you add, so that the ratio is about 1 to 1. Then stir it up nice and good. It's okay if it's a little bit more water. The more water you add, the more coats you're gonna need. It's just how it works. Then get a nice brush full. Grab your mini. And then you just gently dap it on. Sometimes you get way too much color, so you're going to want to do nice big strokes and come back up to tap it. That way you can wick away all the excess paint. I feel like I screwed up the ratio on that one, but everyone makes mistakes, and it's still a first coat. You're going to want to still be able to see the base, the primer color, after a few base coats. That way you know it's going on nice and thin. It's around the 3rd coat, I say, when it should change. You want to make sure the paint is on nice and thin so that it has no issues drying. You're just trying to add a nice layer of color to the mini. Now I'm trying to center myself in frame for this gentle Bob Ross style thing. Oh shit, I just realized the widescreen one. The widescreen stream is still in the wrong category. So I say this falls under how-to and style. Now I could be wrong. But I know that this doesn't have as wide of a reach as gaming. Me trying to be more gentle Bob Ross, as opposed to my chaotic self whenever I play games. But I feel like this is much better when it comes to coping with life and screaming about my demons. So as you see, we got a few layers on. So we're going to want to do another coat. Another nice gentle coat of yellow. Yellow is also a really hard color to get right, because it just is hard to get right. So that's another good reason to apply multiple thin coats as opposed to one thick coat, as the thumbnail of this stream would lead you to believe. Veteran Trooper Schmick, if that's his name, is not the goal. Although our goal is not to make something gold demon worthy. Our goal is just to make something that will look nice on the tabletop when you eventually talk your family into trying out some board games with you. Or when you eventually find a group of friends to play D&D with. Some of us are just into painting small things because we feel like we're too big. Because we feel like we're just these big giants who destroy so much. Yet, something beautiful in painting the small, intricate details of a deer. Even if this deer model I glued this deer onto a Starbucks lid. So after the first couple of coats, we're going to wash our brush. So, I'll pull this up a bit closer for demonstration's sake. But you go ahead and clean out your brush. Make sure all the paint is out. Then you flip it upside down and you put it back into your brush cup. That way it can dry nice and properly. Now, for our next color, I'm going to... I really don't like Citadel Colors paint pots, but they have this really beautiful shade of green. So I'm going to try to just get a little bit of green out of the pot and onto our palette. Now, we're going to get... I'm not exactly sure a good ratio for Citadel, but that should be enough water. Now, we mix it well, because we're going to be doing... Yeah, that looks like a good mix. Because now we're going to be doing the antlers. So I'm thinking a base coat of this warpstone green, and then layering on top the pearlized silver. would probably do really good for our antlers. So, we're just gently applying color to the antlers. I don't think I diluted it enough, because it comes on really high color. But our goal is just to apply a nice even coat to the deer's antlers. Coming back to get a nice little scoop of green to apply. Now, another reason I'm getting the green out is for some other models we have lined up for tonight. So don't worry, that green is gonna get used, because I have a few really cool looking aliens and pieces of terrain. And I didn't prep any of the super mutants, but we have a lovely mutant hound from Fallout Wasteland Warfare. I don't know why I'm saying that like I got sponsored by them, but I guess so that y'all know what minis I got. But this deer I got in some kind of box from like Hobby Lobby during Christmas, because there was a little white thing meant to be a lovely little Christmas decoration. But we are just applying a nice gentle coat of green to the antlers. Green that we're going to apply. Nice. I just realized my hands aren't like... I gotta get used to this whole trying to record this setup. But here's our deer statue so far. There's still some gray showing through on the yellow, but that's kind of to be expected. Yellow is a color that it's very easy for pigment to get through yellow. But we have this nice green antlers, so we're gonna wash out our brush and then try to course correct, because we did get a little bit of green right there on the model. Now, me trying to be a Bob Ross-esque painter, it just seems so ridiculous to me, but this is what we want to do with our life. We want to make cool art that people can enjoy. And this deer is going to be a staple of any D&D campaigns I run in the future. So we're trying to paint over the little splotches of green. That made their way through. And then apply yet another nice and thin coat of ochre yellow to the deer itself. Now, I know no one is currently watching this live stream, but if anyone in the future is going to watch this, I have a few hypotheticals that I'm going to slip in throughout the live streams. Purely for the entertainment of my viewers. And to get some comments. You know how it goes. Nice good comment bait is what the hypotheticals are. Now, I realize we could have used my can of Retributor armor for the deer, but I figured going about it this way would lead to a much more authentic feeling result. well, not authentic feeling, but like, I feel as if the results will be better this way. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to correct for the green by doing a few thick little taps with a paint-laden brush. Then we just going to gently fill in the gaps. Gently filling in the gaps. You know, if I were to ever get isekai'd, this is like the one thing I'd miss. Being able to just sit down and paint miniature things. Because, like, in most fantasy settings, you ain't getting your mitts on high quality minis. You're going to have a lot of coin to be able to get artisan tools and paints as vibrant as we can get here in the real world. So, just gently fill in the cracks. Putting a little bit more paint on the spots that didn't really get enough from the previous coats. Jill, still being gentle with your brush. I'm no, like, master painter, but honestly, the deer is coming along very nicely. Now, I don't know how so many better YouTubers have a much better setup for this kind of thing than me. But, oh dang it, Mini-Me's been off. I just like looked over at the stream and noticed someone's missing. It's Mini-Me! Oh, dang it, I forgot to turn on Mini-Me. It's Mini-Me! Oh, that feels so I feel kind of dumb now for forgetting about Mini-Me. But yet, that's just life. I think my phone just died. But anyway, we just gotta gently apply some coats. Apply some gentle coats to the deer. I feel like we've gotten enough Oshire Gold or Oshire Yellow that we can start on the second stage of this painting. So, I'm going to use the pearlized gold. And put 2 drops of it. Now, this pearlized gold is meant to be used in an airbrush. so it's already super thin. So we don't really gotta thin it before we start. I'm gonna start on this side because it's already mostly dry. And we're just going to apply a simple coat of pearlized gold to veneer. Give it that nice statuesque shine. So, to the viewers of the future, I have a simple question for y'all. What else should I paint? Because I know I got no viewers right now. But honestly, what war games and that kind of thing should I try? See that nice shine? That nice picturesque shine to it. That's what we want across the whole deer. Just need one good coat, that shine. Suddenly it looks like a golden deer. Now I plan on building, or I plan on continuing my fantasy village diorama. And honestly, could y'all not see this? This majestic deer inside of a fantasy village. It's like a statue in the center of town to the forest, or just some art piece. But yeah, that is nice and simple deer. This mini is also the first one I've done up with gray primer. Because all my other primers were like white primer. But I feel like next we need a little bit of that pearlized silver. Because I know how the pearlized stuff, it doesn't really like... It doesn't play nice with some colors. Like, it really likes to show underneath layers once it dries, which is why I went ahead and did 2 coats of Oshire yellow, or Orshire yellow. But anyway, we're gonna do some nice one little coat of pearlized silver to the top of the deer statue. This will make the deer statue's crown, if you will, have a nice pearly gold, nice shiny pearly finish, but still be arguably quite green. I also don't have a chrome green in my collection of colors, so this is just what we're using. We're just trying to get a nice shiny coat, just a little bit of silver onto the green. Just enough to give it that good Forest Guardian looking shine. How do you like those bananas? Nice golden deer with a kind of shiny, kind of a... Dang, it looks way too Christmassy. It came out looking so Christmassy, but it's not really Christmas yet. It's October, spooky season. We're here to make stuff goth and mean, but not lean. Because I ran out of lean. So, I feel like our next mini, because I call this done. This is done enough for use as just like a piece of terrain. But our next mini is the ever feisty mutant hound. And that's also why I got the warpstone green out. Because, as we move on to our second mini of the night, let me get the text. Mutant dog, because riding hound would mess that up. So, mutant hound. It's a little bit of a... I didn't get all the paint off that. So. Seriously. Paintbrush breaks all the time. But anyway. So the base coat for the mutant hound is of course going to be this lovely warpstone green. So we're just gonna do a couple of coats. Actually, it looks like we're only gonna need one, depending on how this dries. So the reason I thought white would be such a better paint color than gray up until recently was because it makes them so much brighter and more vibrant in a hobby that is all but flooded with grimdark and the edge, there's no hope, it's so bleak and dark colors. I just want to paint stuff that looks like an eyesore. I want to paint something that looks like it belongs in a 90s toy aisle, you know? Like, I want TMNT Transformers G2 levels of bright. No stealth needed, no military camo. I want my enemies to know who I am and know that I don't care. So we're just gonna slap a good base coat on this doggy. Cause he a good doggy, but he a very muscly doggy. Cause I swear, what are the super mutants feeding their dogs? So with just that green first coat, you gotta make sure we get it in all the cracks. Yeah, make sure we get this big good boy's chest. Because there's no bad dogs. Just bad owners. IRL. But I'm sorry, but if I saw one of these roided out pit bulls, this chew bubblegum roided out pit bull, I might not spare it. I'll probably shoot first and then feel really bad if it was a good boy. So we just paint all the details. Sure there's a nice gradient. With excess paint put where we don't want the sunlight to be hitting it. Yeah, make sure we get in these teeth. And like that. Okay. Gotta make sure we get his paw. Wop, wop, wop. Wop, 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 wop. And the inner legs as well. This is, for those at home wondering what miniature this is a mutant hound from Fallout Wasteland Warfare. Specifically one of the two that came in the starter box. So you just want to slap on some color. The gradient it causes from actually having too much on the brush will be useful. So don't feel too bad about it. Okay. Now we got that settled. We can go ahead and rinse out our brush. Put it back in the brush stack. Now, it's time to do our secondary coat for him. And for the secondary coat, we go in with this lovely Createx Airbrush Colors Fluorescent Green. Now this green is so green that it will glow under black light. This is some blacklight grade green right here. Just a few little droplets. And our nice little brush here. Get some on. And we just want to make this a lovely second coat. Sure you get it all over him. Get all over our little Hulk doggy. We want him to positively glow. Well, I mean, if we want him to absolutely glow, we should have gone with the stinking black light green I have in the bucket of paint. But this is what we going with. Sure you get all over him, kind of like a wash. But we aren't to the oil wash yet. I didn't put an oil wash on the deer because I don't feel like the deer needed a good oil wash. The deer statue is supposed to look like this pristine statue, not some irradiated mutt. But that doesn't mean this doggo is a bad boy, just because he's a little bit radioactive. Trying to get his inner legs with some of the paint. That's an obvious little sore spot for us, is the inner legs, because he came pre-assembled. I feel like I'm not holding it right. So, now if a good boy is all like that, you can go ahead, get the brush, put that back, because it's now time to detail the boy. Now, for his detailing, where's my ivory white? Oh. I'm going to go with... That's cold white. Here's my ivory We gotta go with ivory for his teeth. And I cannot stress how small the dot is gonna need to be, but black for the eyes. So, in preparation of the dot for the eyes, I need to lift up the jar of brushes and get out what amounts to a toothpick I keep around. In my little tiny yellow stick. Now, the yellow stick is a mighty tool, because you can just tap it in the paint, and then, say you see a spot that needs paint, tap it on, and it is just a way to easily get less than a drop of paint, where you need less than a drop of paint to fill in some detail cracks. Or, in our case, paint on eyes. So, we are going to go with one smallest drop of black we can make. Because we will not be diluting this black at all. Because all we need it for is to get one tiny little drop on the good boy. Put it in the eye socket. Put it in the eye socket. Eyes are not my strongest suit at all. But we got the eyes done. Now, we can also come over here, use black for the gaps between his teeth. This way, we fill in the gaps in the teeth. Rather flawlessly. Next, go ahead, rub the tip of that clean, because we're probably going to need it again tonight. And now we get our ivory, and put a little bit onto there. Then we get our sharpest detail brush. I kid you not, our sharpest brush. This right here, and now we just tap some ivory on his teeth. Now, teeth are another really hard part for me, especially when your detail brush keeps doing this little number. Okay, I think that detail brush is just screwed. We're gonna switch to another slightly less screwed up detail brush. And then going to cradle this sure we get it on these pearly whites. Why does he look so bad? Now we got all of that done. You can go ahead, clean out the brush, and start on the base. So, we're not going to do the base. We're going to put him to the side with the Death Claw, because I want to do all the Fallout bases as a unit together. So, next mini, I got a little box over here full of all the Gray Shame minis. Yes. A wall. Current mini, a literal wall. So let's go ahead. Change out the text. So this next one is a piece of terrain. Terrain we can be a lot more messy with. So, for our first real move, we're going to get a little bit more gray. And by gray, I mean I'm going to show y'all a recipe. So, some paints, when mixed together in the proper ratios, from my experience, show nets some really badass results. And this is one of those recipes that I figured out while experimenting. So, while I was experimenting with various different paints, I came across this recipe. For a kind of rusty, kind of not really that rusty metal. And it works really well for this kind of thing. So, we're going to get the palette right here so I can show this to y'all. And we're going to go 1 drop or 2 drops Vallejo Black. One drop fluorescent orange. No, 2 drops fluorescent orange. And 1 drop opaque black. Now, we get our stir stick. I also use these for stir sticks. And you stir this up really good. Once you get it somewhat stirred, it makes this brown. Then, with this brown, you add 2 drops of pearlized silver. Make sure you stir this well, so that's all nice and mixed up. This specific color, of all of its properties, is what I have dubbed Fort Wall Black. Now, observe as I get a little bit on my brush and run a single stripe down this wall. It gives it this nice, slightly pearlized brown color that makes for a wonderful first coat on walls like this. Make sure you paint it to fill in all the cracks. You just want to get a nice blackish base coat. So it gets it this nice, kind of black, kind of grungy coat. Compared to the back, it has that nice shine to it. It's what we're kind of looking for from this coat. Now, by and large, terrain isn't as cared about in wargaming as the minis, so you don't gotta put your heart and soul into your terrain. But at the same time, terrain is also a wonderful place to experiment. It's a wonderful place to try and figure out new shade recipes or new paints in general. Terrain make for such great sacrificial lambs is what I'm getting at. Because a lot of people, when they see terrain, they just see the angles. They just see, okay, that's a wall. Because terrain isn't the showstopper. It's the set dressing. Now, don't get me wrong, some really badass terrain can make for a really badass campaign. But people are more likely to remember the story, the heroes being valiant heroes, than they are to remember how nice that door was. Unless it was a damn good door. But everything is set up to be damn nice, then none of it is by contrast. So terrain, it's acceptable in my opinion to just slap some color on. Terrain is where you can be a little bit sloppy in your experimentation. Especially considering the fact that I'm trying to move into Fallout Wasteland Warfare as opposed to Warhammer. So, now we have a good basic coat. Let's go ahead, grab our detail brush, or grab a more detailed brush, and instead of getting pearlized silver, get a little bit of this fluorescent green, and use it to ante up any spots where it would make sense. So, considering I'm guessing this is the inside wall. No, I'm guessing this one's the inside wall. So we would want to make this little light here a lovely warpstone green. Along with these little creases here, just so that there's a little bit of contrast in color. Yeah, make sure y'all can see it good. So these little creases here, we're going to apply a little bit of warpstone green, just so that it has that nice color. Some nice color contrast on this wall. Well, I guess this is more a door than a wall, but it is what it is. We're here to just do some painting and to chill. Here to relax after, frankly, not that good day at work. So, back to this side. We're going to go ahead and paint these inner triangles warpstone green as well. Just because I made too much of this color and I don't want to waste it. But it's a really lovely green. But terrain is just the pieces, in my opinion, that are best suited for painting. Well, not for painting, but for experimentation. If you're going to experiment on any pieces, do it on terrain. Because terrain is just for set dressing for the stories. And the stories are what you're here to tell. That's why I'm such a proponent of making terrain out of trash. Of recycling garbage into terrain. To the point where that little fantasy village I'm working on, I mentioned earlier, is just 90% bottles that I've cut up and painted. And I'm probably going to show off some of those, or show off my methods on a few of these live streams. It'll be titles probably something like Turning Bottles into Fantasy Houses, Part 1. Bottles, or yeah, I could probably stretch that out into 2 videos. Part 1, being bottles into frames, and part 2 being painting the houses. Or that, or I could try to just make that one video. But we're just here to relax and to paint. To try and make best looking turtle. Who pinged me? Someone pinging me.
This stream started off.
What was that ping? Oh!
What was that ping?
Oh, apparently Silk Song is getting released.
Oh.
About damn time. I might actually end up live streaming Silk Song when it comes out. That way I can write off buying as a tax write-off. I'm joking, mate. I'm joking. This is a hobby, not a business. So I'm not yet eligible for tax write-offs from this. Even then, trying to explain why an art channel that has art tutorials hosted by some idiot who doesn't even know what he's doing to look at, but y'all can see the green there. So I realize I'm probably going to make the outside of this very green, because we get all like the triangles green. But honestly, that's just because it'll look really cool. Especially once I start trying to make like Fallout terrain. Once I get done with all the Warhammer terrain from that box. Plan on going to plan on going to the town 1 over. On a few days to pick up some new models. And some more paints. Because honestly, I think a few comic book stores, town 1 over, stock Fallout Wasteland Warfare minis. And it might be worth it, given I'm now single. Yeah. Yeah, that's the reason this stream got delayed by a day, is I was coping with that mess. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to try to make this mini look good. Try to take the time to focus our breathing and put some lovely color on this wall. So far, that's how it's coming out. So we just hitting up all the spots that need it most. These little white spots peeking through. Just gotta tap the paintbrush on them gently to try to get them out. Because there are no mistakes in painting. Just happy little accidents. That's also true of life. God doesn't make mistakes. And he probably had his reasons for putting you with her for a few years before y'all both accepted the fact that long distance wasn't gonna work. Before I'm gonna go with Oshire Red for I'm gonna go with our same gold we did on the deer. Same gold method for these holes right here. That way, I don't know, I just feel like it'll look good. And that's all we can really hope in life. It's that stuff works out. That stuff looks good. And a little bit more yellow. Get the water dropper. Splooge a little bit of water on there. Clean off the end of the stir stick. And stir. And rinse off the butt of the stir stick. And put it back. Because that's all we can really hope for in this life. Is that things work out. That God's plan comes to fruition. Even if you don't understand it. Even if you weren't the one for her. Please take solace in the fact that her being with you probably kept her from being with some other idiot. Even if things aren't meant to be. You can still admit it was good while it lasted. Or at least that's what I hope. It's what I hope. That one day things will be better for both of us. That life is not just some carousel of mistakes. Here I am muttering into the void about life and deep philosophy, deep philosophies. So this side's gonna come out a lot darker than this side, but that's all right. That's more than fine. If one side comes out a little bit darker than the other. But that's about life. That's just life. The end is near, but I won't face the final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear, state my case, of which I'm certain. I'll live life that's full, I'll travel each and every highway. One more, much more than this, I'll do it my way. Regrets, I have a few, but then again, too few to mention. But it stings. Stings feeling so alone in this world. Stings feeling that someday no one will remember your name. Understanding if that's probably a good thing. It's what is there to remember about me? What will there be left in 100 years? Nothing. Because these live streams are probably going to be all that survives. Even if, you know, it's just life. It's also crazy to think about how much life has changed in the last 2,000 years. Like, I'm over here painting with colors that I'm pretty sure Leonardo da Vinci would have killed for. Like, I'm pretty sure Da Vinci or Van Gogh, or heck, Raphael would kill for half the colors I have access to right now. For half the colors in my little bucket of paint right here. So, next order of business is getting a little bit of lead belcher. Another Citadel Colors color. But we are going to be using a lot of it. That's hot, hot. Oh, we got it. Hot. Just gotta shake it. Shake it good. Gotta shake shake it. Shake it like it owes you money. The paint being this expensive, it might as well be liquid gold. Just a little bit. I might nearly be out of lead belcher. Come on. Come on. Come on, you Citadel paint pot. Release! Okay. So yeah, it does look like I'm running a bit low on lead belcher. But that's alright. That's alright. Get a little bit of water in there. And then you stir the living crap out of it. Beat it like an egg yolk. Then, get your brush. Scoop up a little bit. Then, start to gently apply it to the metal bits. Nice and easy. Let me try and move this more towards the center of the camera so y'all can see what I'm doing better. That's what we're doing. Just applying some nice smooth coats of this lead belcher to the outside. That way it looks nice, even, across the whole thing. The world just spinning. Think about it. 'Cause there's nothing more dangerous than a man with something to prove and nothing to lose. Nothing more dangerous than a man with something to prove. 'Cause I will dominate through the day. And even then, the slight unevenness of just missing a few spots will probably signal just how old the door itself is. There's a few random spots of patina or of less shiny will easily signal, hey, this door has been out for a little bit longer than it appears. A tono rebledo. Tons of nickels. I'm probably gonna call the stream after 2 hours, because it just honestly feels like we aren't gonna be getting much further view wise or anything of that nature wise. And it's getting really late and I'm kind of getting tired. We just filling in the gaps. Going nice and slow. But I feel like we've gotten a great coat for this piece of terrain. So I'm just gonna go ahead put a little bit more Oshire yellow on those. And then add in a big helping. Dang, it's tearing. Dang it. Dang, I got like gold all over my hands now. Dang it. especially considering it's paint borderline liquid gold. But I feel like we should go ahead and end off the stream with this wall being done enough for table use. Thank you all for watching. It's been a stream.